Imagine living in a reality in which you have access to all wisdom, and you can experience and grasp it all instantaneously. Now, it's so difficult to imagine this because it's nearly impossible to think about something that you've never experienced before. Just try to think of a color that doesn't exist. And in Parshat Beha'alotcha, Hashem himself attests to the fact that Moshe was the greatest prophet to ever live. But the question is, what's unique about Moshe's prophecy that earned him this unique status? So in order to understand Moshe's prophecy, we have to first develop an understanding of prophecy in general. And we live in a world devoid of prophecy. So attempting to understand it is like trying to understand a human sense by hearing someone describe it to you. However powerfully you can describe sight, it won't mean much to a person who has been blind from birth. And likewise, a deaf person can read about hearing, but he has no past experience or mental construct in which to place it. And similarly, we live in a world devoid of prophecy, so it becomes exceedingly difficult to understand or even relate to the experience. However, we will try to paint as clear a picture as possible. A prophet must be a great tzaddik, a righteous person, spending his or her entire life building to the stage where he is worthy of receiving prophecy. This includes both a mastery of Torah knowledge and commitment to its observance, as well as a mastery over one's midos, their character traits, and their intellect. And once a person achieves this exalted status, he or she is capable of receiving prophecy, and Hashem will choose whether or not to grant them prophecy. And the prophetic experience itself was an otherworldly experience. Hashem opened and expanded the prophet's consciousness, allowing him to connect to a higher dimension of existence, one that lies far beyond the limitations of time and space, far beyond the capacity of the regular human mind. And in doing so, the prophet experienced lofty ideas and intellectual truths that he would otherwise not have access to. And these ideas and truths would then filter through the prophet's intellect and get translated through his imaginative faculties, resulting in his unique and subjective experience of those objective truths. In a very deep sense, prophecy was an otherworldly and angelic experience of the spiritual world that a prophet experienced while still in this world. And building off this general understanding of prophecy, we have to now ask, what made Moshe's prophecy unique? Well, the most unique characteristic of Moshe's prophecy was his level of clarity. The Gemara states that while all other prophets saw through a clouded lens, Moshe saw through a clear lens. We all perceive reality through our own unique lens. A tremendously developed and wise person will see the world through a much more sophisticated lens than an immature child. One of them sees many layers of depth behind every aspect of reality, while the other sees nothing more than the surface. One of them looks at the Torah and sees layers of wisdom, while the other looks at the same Torah and sees meaningless scribbles. As this child matures, he has the ability to expand his understanding and develop a more sophisticated approach to life. And the same is true regarding prophecy. There are many different levels. As humans, our consciousness is limited in that we only see the physical, not the spiritual. And since prophecy was a window into the spiritual world, the metaphor that Chazal used was an aspecularia, loosely translated as a window, a lens, or a mirror. The greater the prophet, the greater his vision, and the more he was able to understand. And while all other Nevi'im's vision had some measure of cloudiness, Moshe saw Hashem in the spiritual world with absolute clarity. And to many, Moshe may not serve as a classic role model. He wasn't great, he was perfect. He didn't accomplish a lot, he accomplished everything. And to some, this may be more overwhelming than inspiring, more daunting than encouraging. But I believe that we can all connect to Moshe in a very deep way. Moshe shows us what humanity is capable of. Sometimes you need to see an example of human perfection before you can personalize it to your unique mission in life. True, you can't be as great as Moshe, but that's not your job. Your job is to be the greatest version of you possible. But perhaps Moshe can inspire us to challenge ourselves a bit more, to add one more layer to our self-expectations, to question our own limits, to genuinely ask ourselves if we're giving it everything we have. And in moments of self-doubt, in moments of opportunity, in moments of fear, just think of Moshe and remember that in a very deep way, the sky is the limit. Or is it?